Hey there. Ready to dive into the future? I know you're all about AI and how it's going to change, well, everything.
Absolutely.
And get this, we're going deep on the intelligence age. This brand new article just came out September 23rd.
Oh, wow, just days ago.
Yeah, and it's causing a stir, let me tell you. Bold claims, optimistic outlook, really paints a picture of what's right around the corner thanks to AI.
It's exciting because it's not just, little steps forward they're talking about. This article is saying it's a whole new age, the intelligence age.
Right, like a whole new chapter in history.
Yeah, like the Stone Age, the agricultural age, industrial age, each one totally changed how people lived, worked, understood the world.
Right. Imagine trying to explain to someone 1,000 years ago what we do now, our smartphones, the internet.
Self-driving cars?
They'd think it was magic, right?
Exactly. And the article flips it around and says, we'll be just as blown away looking back from the future. What we'll be able to do, the problems we solve, mind-blowing, even by today's standards.
And that's all thanks to AI.
Pretty much, yeah. But here's the thing. It's not that we're getting super brains or anything. It's the systems around us, the tools, becoming so advanced, so linked up, that it actually boosts everyone's intelligence.
Interesting.
Like, imagine the world's best medical advice at your fingertips, no matter where you are.
Wow, yeah.
Because your AI assistant translates symptoms, talks to specialists instantly. And that's just one tiny example.
So you're saying we'll all have these incredible AI teams working for us? I mean, who wouldn't want a personal tutor 24/7 for anything they wanted to learn?
Right. And healthcare, totally personalized to you, based on your medical history, predicting problems before they even happen.
Wow.
That's the power of AI, you see. It's not just algorithms, it's systems that learn about you, what you like, what you need, always adapting to give you exactly that right when you need it.
It almost sounds too good to be true,
Yeah.
Which makes me think about, oh, you had it in your notes, the downsides.
Right.
Like people worried about AI taking their jobs. That's a big one I hear all the time.
Yeah, no, it's real. People are worried about that. And the article, to its credit, doesn't dodge it. It says, yeah, some jobs, like factory work, data entry, those will probably be mostly automated.
Right.
But here's the thing. Every time we've had a big tech shift like this, new jobs pop up that we couldn't have even imagined before.
It's like that example from the article, the lamplighter. Right. Their whole job was to go around lighting gas lamps every night.
Exactly. Can you imagine that now?
Seems so old-fashioned.
Totally. But back then, it was essential. And just like those lamplighters, no way they could predict electricians or software developers.
Or podcast hosts even.
Right. So we probably can't even fathom the jobs AI will create.
It's kind of exciting, but kind of scary too, right? Like, you have to just trust that new jobs will show up to replace the old ones.
It takes a leap of faith, for sure. But it also means we got to be ready to adapt to keep learning new things.
So it's not enough to just be good at one thing anymore.
Exactly. The article really stresses that. The most valuable skill in the intelligence age, it's not going to be mastering one task. It's being able to learn new stuff, unlearn old stuff, and do it all over again, constantly.
And that actually reminds me, we were talking before the show about how to thrive in all this change, right? Like, what should people be focusing on skills-wise?
Well, the article, it's big on critical thinking. Because think about it, so much information out there now, and misinformation too. Being able to tell what's true, what's biased, form your own opinions, that's going to be key.
Like being an information detective, right?
Exactly. And that ties into, being good with all this tech. Digital literacy, they call it. Understanding algorithms, spotting the fake AI-generated stuff.
Which is getting harder and harder, honestly.
Tell me about it. But those skills, they're not just for the techies anymore. Everyone needs them.
Makes sense. But then there's AI literacy itself. It's one thing to use AI, like we all do now, but to really get how it works, how to talk to it right.
Right. And how to make sure it develops ethically responsibly.
It's like we need a whole new intuition, a feel for how AI operates.
Exactly. Which brings us back to jobs,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, some tasks, they'll be automated. But the really cool stuff, that's going to come from humans and AI working together.
Oh, interesting.
Like, picture this. Doctors using AI to diagnose diseases way earlier, way more accurately. Or architects designing buildings that are beautiful and environmentally friendly.
So it's not us versus the machines. It's more like we team up with them to do even more.
Exactly. That's the optimistic view, but I think it's also the realistic one from what I'm reading. And it's the message I hope people take away from this article. This intelligence age, it's not some scary future that's already decided. It's a chance to use technology to make things better for everyone.
I like that.
But it's on us to make sure that happens. Responsibly, ethically, that's the key.
All this talk about the future has really got me thinking differently about the choices we make now. It's a lot,
For sure.
but in a good way. It's like the intelligence age, it's opening these doors to all these possibilities,
Right.
but also saying, hey, we've got to be smart about how we walk through those doors. You know, what really struck me during this conversation,
Mm.
this isn't some like distant sci-fi thing we're talking about.
Yeah, yeah.
This is like happening now. The article even mentioned biometric authentication, becoming more and more common.
Totally. I mean, fingerprints, facial recognition instead of passwords.
Right. And it just hit me how much we take for granted. Imagine trying to explain to someone, like, 100 years from now,
100 years from now.
why we still drive cars ourselves when they probably have, like, only self-driving cars.
Yeah. Or why we spend hours every week on grocery shopping, all that stuff.
And robots could just, like, do it.
Yeah. AI robots doing all that for us.
It really makes you think, what do we think is totally normal now that our grandkids are going to be like, what?
That's a good question, isn't it?
Mm.
What'll they find totally ridiculous about our lives?
It's kind of a fun thought experiment, actually, but it also shows how much potential there is for things to change, in a good way, how different our lives could be and not even that far off.
Definitely. Yeah, and speaking of good change, I mean, the article talks about how this intelligence age could actually help us solve some of the big problems we're facing, like climate change.
Oh, right.
AI could help us, I don't know, develop cleaner energy, use resources better,
Yeah.
even predict natural disasters, maybe even prevent some of them.
Yep.
It's pretty amazing if you think about the scale of it. AI can analyze so much data, see patterns that would take us, what, decades to figure out? Maybe longer?
It's like AI gives us, like, superpowers, lets us see things we couldn't before, solve problems that seemed impossible.
In a way, yeah. But like any powerful tool, it all comes down to how we use it,
Mm.
right? That's why I keep thinking about those skills we were talking about. Being adaptable, thinking critically, really understanding AI.
It's like the keys to making sure we use it for good.
Exactly.
So bringing it all back to our listener, someone who's obviously really thinking about all this, what's the one big thing you want them to take away from the intelligence age?
That's a good question.
The one thing you want them to remember?
I think that the future, it's not something that just happens to us.
Right.
We actually get to shape it. And this intelligence age, with everything it could bring, good and bad, it's our chance to make a future that's smarter, more sustainable.
And ultimately more human, right?
Exactly. And I think that's what makes this such an exciting time to be alive. This is a brand new era, and it's up to us to make sure it's a good one.
Love that. So listeners, we've given you a lot to think about today. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the intelligence age.
It's been a pleasure, yeah.
It really got us thinking.
Absolutely.
And to everyone listening, keep those questions coming, all right? Keep exploring, keep learning. Because the future, well, it's out there waiting to be discovered. Until next time.